Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my daily diary series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's daily diary video, I want to read you a chapter from the Bible. Today it will be the book of Job, chapter 41. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me, that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to them to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another, they stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his nestlings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid, by reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh the path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is none, not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. You know what's so amazing is in this chapter, Jehovah says, he talks about Leviathan, right? He describes Leviathan in this chapter. And he talks about how powerful he is. And in one of the verses here is really the verse that I keyed in on for this chapter. It is, none is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? And the next one, the verse right after, that was the Job 41:10, now 41:11. Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. And that is the way Jehovah speaks. He does not mince words. And that's one of the things that's so great about him, is that when he speaks, I listen, because he is just so powerful and great and wise. It's like I feel like what I'm reading is just so great that, making these Bible videos is some of the best times in my week because I feel like I learn so much from reading them. And so one of the translations is this. Think about this. I really really want you to process what Jehovah is saying here, because this is one of the verses that I'll remember forever. And the book of Job has the first one that I'll remember from the book of Job is Satan saying, "Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life." And the next verse here, "Who hath prevented me that I should repay him?" The other idea, the idea being that whoever went against Jehovah, no one got the better of him. He defeated all comers. That's what it means. He defeated every opponent, everyone that ever stood against Jehovah, he defeated. When you talk about faith, when you talk about God, when you talk about divinity, like I know for sure, like when I look at the Christians, I don't blame them for believing in Jesus, because it's not like they don't believe in Jehovah. And like God incarnate as the Son is beautiful. I actually write that Jesus is my son because he is the Son of the Spirit, for me. Um, and One of the things that is so beautiful about Jehovah is how he speaks, the power with which he speaks. It's not that Jesus didn't speak with that power. It's that when Jehovah speaks, you really get an idea of how he views himself, which is as the greatest man ever. And you look at it here, he says, again, "Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine." The idea being that anyone, everyone that challenged Jehovah fell before him. And everything under heaven is his. Like, think about that. Think about how powerful that is. That he views himself and says, if you challenge me, I'll defeat you. I'll defeat you. If you challenge me, I'll defeat you. And whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. That is like a level of power from a single man that you only can even grasp with the other members of the Trinity. And Jehovah, when he speaks, he just speaks so powerfully. And like, you don't get the feeling like he's saying it for like glamorous effect. You get the feeling that after you read these chapters of the Old Testament that he means it. Remember, there was a force, I think of like a thousand Ethiopians. Let me find this chapter. Yeah. So the King James Version. Yeah, just read this, okay? This is what I'm talking about, man. This is why it's like I always talk about, like, one person you never want to forsake is God, because Jehovah is just so great. He really views himself as the greatest man ever, and I have no disagreement with that. In terms of that's absolutely, the way he should feel, because he is that great. And so one of the chapters says here, 2 Chronicles 14:9. We'll read on, okay? 2 Chronicles 14:9 and on in the King James Version reads, "And there came out against them Zerah the Ethiopian with an host of 1,000,000, so 1,000,000 men, million Ethiopian men, and 300 chariots, and came unto Marshah. Then Asa went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephathah at Marshah. Then Asa went out against him, and And Asa cried out unto the Lord his God, and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help, whether with many or with them that have no power. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on thee, and in thy name we go against this multitude. O Lord, thou art our God, let not man prevail against thee. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa, and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. 1,000,000 men stood against Jehovah, and they fell. And this is but one example of his dominance, his greatness, his perfection. Think about how he views himself. Like, this is one thing that I want to say for myself. Like, one of the reasons I feel this like desire, like I wrote specifically in my gospel that I view myself as the greatest man ever to step foot on earth, is because I really don't like, I don't know if I feel comfortable calling myself the greatest man ever because of how great Jehovah is. He sits upon the throne of heaven and earth, has never lost in anything, ever. Anyone who ever stood against him fell. And and he says, whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. And I look at it and like out of whether you call it deference, whether you call it loyalty, whether you call it reverence, I just view like Jehovah's like he is my God, you know? He's the one I look up to. Like, it's not that Jesus is not also God because he is. It's just that, like, what Jehovah has done over his time in the Old and the New Testament, no one can ever minimize that. You know, that 1,000,000 men being defeated by, it says, so the Lord smote them. And they fled before Jehovah. It's just like, there are a lot of examples, and I don't want to compare. I just mean like when he says that, you know, when he says that, yeah, no one ever went against him and got the better of him. No one. That's how he views himself, as the greatest ever. And I got no argument when Jehovah says that, because I just have such great admiration for his greatness, his power, and his wisdom. And so with that, I'll go ahead and end the Daily Dive video there for today, and transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dive video. Since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I worked my software developer job, and I have created this Daily Dive video for 6/15/23. And with no further achievements since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. I'd like to be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.